Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic, medium, and a spirit navigator. And today you've tuned into one of my video series called Wow, which is Wisdom on Wednesdays. This is a very large spiritual video library at your disposal, completely free. You can click the little swirly logo and go straight to my main YouTube channel. And then you can look on the tabs and click playlist, go to Wow, and guess what? You're going to be wowed because there's a lot of videos that cover a lot of spiritual topics that are really interesting. I mean, past lives, crop circles, soul contracts. What happens to bad souls? How do we ascend? What about our psychic abilities, our mediumship abilities? All kinds of really amazing videos, truly, really helpful videos. Today, we're going to talk about something that my spirit guides say is important. If you're new here, I do channel these videos. Sometimes it can be a little bit, well, it's channeled. It's not me. I can't control it. They're 60%, I'm 40%, and it's kind of a mishmash. So today we're going to talk about turning your psychic abilities on and off. Why would you want to? And what is the difference between people who are born open versus people who are not born open? And what in the hell does that even mean? Well, here's what it means. If you're born open, you're born with sort of the veil between the worlds. It didn't get installed at the factory. All I can tell you is, like me, I was probably rushing. I was probably late and rushing. I don't know, but I didn't get it. I didn't get the amnesia. I didn't get the veil. Now, some people, some kids don't get it at all, and they actually remember their past lives, and they're over there telling their mom about how they used to be their brother, or they remember being in the womb. I mean, that's a pretty extreme version or example of being born without any veil. For me, and this is an important message, right? That this is a continuum. It's not black and white. Some of us are on the extreme, and then we fill in all the slots, all the available slots. So for me, I didn't grow up remembering my past life. I didn't grow up having these psychic experiences where perhaps I saw people dying, which some people do. Those people are born open. They're wide open. I was born wide open, but it manifested a little differently. That's why it's important to understand, to not compare yourself to others, because there's no comparison here. Everybody is going to be different. You're not going to find anybody truly just like you and your intuition or your psychic abilities or anything else. You're just not. You might find somebody who has similar situation, but not somebody that's exactly like you. So when you're born open, well, you had experiences as a child. You probably don't like ghosts. You don't like dead people. You don't like aliens. You're afraid to sleep with the light off. You close the closet door. You don't have any mirrors in your bedroom. I mean, there's 1,000 things I could tell you, right? And that's because you had some sort of experience when you were a child and you blocked it because you were open as a child. So as a child, you might have seen a fairy, or seen a monster, or seen eyes, or seen an alien, or seen a ship, or seen a ghost, or had a knowing that grandpa's going to die. No matter what it was, as a child, you don't know any better. So you go to your parent or your guardian or your brother or your sister and you tell them. And then depending on who you tell, they either make fun of you, or they tell you to hush, or they tell you don't ever speak about it, or they tell you that didn't happen. You made it up. Whatever they tell you, it's typically not supportive. Very, very few, like less than 1%, the spirit guides are saying, of people have supportive parents when it comes to these types of abilities. So if you're born open, you typically close it down. You typically say, I don't know how to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this. It doesn't help me, right? It's not helping me at school. It's not helping me with my friends. It's making me an outcast. I don't want this. So you close it down. However, you're still born with it open. Okay. That's an important thing. Now, for other people, they're born with it closed. And what happens is when you're born with it closed, but yet you have abilities, at some point, that door is going to start creaking open. And those abilities are going to start coming into your awareness, into your consciousness. Typically, that happens a little bit later in life. Now, there's a lot of overlap here, right? Because the people that were born open, well, they closed it down, and they will also have a reawakening at some point in their life. So at some point, we're all on the same bus, having the same experiences of, whoa, I just had a dream and it came true. It was a premonition. Wow, I heard my name called. No one was there. I saw my relative who is in heaven. I saw them at the foot of my bed. I smelled cinnamon and no one else could smell it. I smelled cigarette smoke. No one else could smell it. I know that my boss is going to get fired. I don't know how I know. I mean, there's a thousand ways that this information starts, these abilities start bubbling up to the top. Okay. Now, for those of us that were born open, that have, and you could be born open without having the trauma. It's just that typically we do have the trauma because no one's there to help us understand what happened. If you're born open, how do you know? I hear you guys saying, but I'm not sure that I was born open. If you're not sure that you were born open, it actually doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter. The point of the video is to teach you how to turn it off and on. So that's what they're saying about the overlap. In the end, it doesn't really matter how you got here. You are here on the map. X marks the spot. This is where you are. Where you are is some kind of experience that you cannot explain. This is the common denominator between people who are born open and people who are born not open. And I say sometimes there's two groups of people that are learning how to turn it off and people learning how to turn it on. Some of us want to learn how to turn it off, or maybe we should learn how to turn it off. Others of us are like, how do I get more intuitive? How do I flip the switch on? So this video is about flipping it on, flipping it off. You get to control what's happening to you. It's very, very important because it's all as above, so below. As in your physical environment, also in your energetic environment. They mirror each other. So in your physical environment, you don't have boundaries. People are walking over you. Work is taking advantage of you. Family is not respecting you, taking advantage of you. Whatever it is, even your pets, it doesn't matter. If that's happening in your physical 3D world, it is for sure going to happen in the energetic realm as well. And no one is pushier than freaking ghosts and dead people. Well, they're all pushy because why not? If you're not going to have a boundary, then we're not going to respect your boundary. And what does that look like, right? So you might be a person who goes from having had some experiences that you couldn't explain, but not really worried about them or didn't bother you, or you have no trauma around it, or maybe you do, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. And then at some point in your life, the experiences sort of start happening again, and you're at a place in your life where you can pay attention and you're like, God, that's so weird. Maybe I'll read a book. Maybe I'll watch a video. Maybe I'll try to understand this a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that any of us are talking about becoming professional psychics and mediums. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But if this is happening to you, it would be helpful to you to understand it because it's important. As we go into the next years, the veil between the worlds is thinning. Therefore, if you have any ability at all, you're going to have a lot of ability. That means you have more things happening that you can't explain, and you don't know how to deal with those. And what we want to do is teach you how to make those abilities helpful in your current life. So we want to teach you how to turn them on, how to turn them off, and how to use them so they're helpful for you. I mean, you don't have to be a professional about this, but you can use them for you. And that is really kind of a mastery of the human lifetime. That's integrating the non-physical with the physical more so that you can use these things to be more successful, to be happier, to make better choices, and to get on your soul path as well. I've done videos on how to get on your soul path. Okay. So this is all sort of the same fabric. It's all together. It's all connected. So how do you turn it on and how do you turn it off? Well, you want to be very, what is the word? You want to be very intentional about it. Now, some of us are really good at following habits. Like some of you take your vitamins, you do your things. You're people that really like habits. If you're a person who finds that you like habits, that you like to do the same thing every day, you find comfort in that. For you, I would suggest having spiritual hygiene. Honestly, I'm going to suggest this for all of us, but I'm just going to tell you, it's easier if you're a habitual person. If you remember to take your vitamins every day, if you remember to do something every day, then this is for you. Create spiritual hygiene every single day. If this is energy that you can be in alignment with every single day, the first thing you want to do is you want to start aligning yourself with the light. All you got to do, say a little prayer, say a little meditation, say an affirmation. This is not about religion. Look, all that's been hijacked by some dudes in robes. Okay. Like they hijacked that stuff. Jesus is a free agent. Okay. All the archangels are free agents. You can call on them. Nobody owns them. Nobody owns the idea of prayer. Okay. So you're going to set your intentions to be in alignment with the light. May I be surrounded by love and light today. Simple as that. Simple as you wouldn't believe how important that is. Because look, if you get in your car and you just start driving down the road without a direction, you're probably not going to get somewhere you want to be. And then you're going to be like, how the hell did I get here? Well, you didn't have a direction. You didn't have intention. So let's bring that into our lives. Every day, my intention is to be of the light. Now you can build on that. You can say, my intention is to work with the light. My intention is that my energy fields are clear and filled with light. So you can build on that, right? You can start out simple, I am of the light, or you can then say, my energy fields are clear and of the light. May it be so. And then start believing it. What you just did is nothing less than pure magic. It will change your life. That simple thing can change your life. If you can do it every day, great. If you don't do it every day like me and you're like, oh, hell, I forgot, whatever, it's okay. Do it when you think about it. You can be sitting at the red light in your car. You can be on the bus. You can be walking the dog. You could be at your desk. It doesn't matter. Because remember, we're physical, but we're also non-physical. So wherever our physical body is, so is our non-physical energy. So no matter where you are, you could say this. You could be on a plane. You could say it 3 times a day if you want. If you miss 3 days, don't give up. Just go back and start saying it again. When you do that, you're changing the energy around you. Okay. And the more you do it, if you do it in a specific room, um, it actually cleanses the energy in the room, the house, the environment. So yeah, if you're at a desk and you want to do it at your desk at work, or you're a teacher and you want to do it in your classroom, why not? What you're doing is you're sanitizing. That's kind of not the right word. You're I can't think of another word, but you're cleansing and brightening the light, the energy in that space. And yeah, over a period of time, that really will change that space. If you've ever walked into somebody's house and said, wow, it feels really good in here, or perhaps you walked into a place of worship and you thought, wow, this feels really good. That's why, because a lot of people in there are lifting their energy up to the light. And then that makes that space holier and holier. But you can make your dining room table holier and holier. It doesn't have to be a holy place. It's about what takes place in the space. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is align yourself with the light so that you can really create this brighter light in your own aura, in your own energy sphere. Why that's important is because as you start to do this work, because you've really set the environment to be light, you're going to have sort of a very quick response rate from the light, because you're connecting to the light every day. So when you start to turn on my abilities, you're saying, okay, I'm ready for messages. I'm ready to receive help. I'm open to receiving help for my highest good. You guys, if you just say help, please, maybe we're going to get some broke down angel. Maybe we're going to get some lesser than help, right? Do we want the bargain bin help, or we want, the higher dimensional help? You know what I mean? Like, so we really want to have the highest help that I can get. Okay. We don't want trickster energy. We don't want any of this other stuff. I don't have time for that. I just don't. So by doing this kind of cleansing, you're going to be connecting with the best, the highest possible light that you can match with. And that's that. You can't get any better than that, right? So you turn it on by preparing. It's sort of like gardening. You got to prepare the ground. You're not just going to throw seeds down and then expect them to grow on top of concrete or on top of gravel or on top of sand, right? So we're preparing our energy for this work. Then when we prepare the energy and we flip it on and we say, I really need some help here. And it could be around cards, like maybe you're using oracle cards, or maybe you're using the tarot cards. But what you're doing is you're turning on your intuitive senses. You're turning it on. I'm ready to accept help. I'm asking for help. Now, turning it off. People are confused about turning it off because they think if I turn it off, I might not be able to turn it back on. And that's a really common thing for people that are experiencing these abilities for the first time, or acknowledging them more and more for the first time. We don't want to turn it off, right? It's fun. It's wonderful. It's interesting. We don't want to turn it off. But I'm telling you, you need to turn it off, because if you're walking around with your antenna on all the time, I'm pointing it out of my crown chakra, basically. My antenna is sticking up out of my crown chakra, and it's just receiving signals all the time. Those signals are not always for you. You're just catching whatever's coming through the airwaves. So that's what happens when people hear. If you have clairaudience, which is psychic hearing, you all of a sudden start hearing faintly in the background some music playing, or faintly in the background someone's talking and you're like, why am I hearing that? Well, your antenna is up and it's receiving. You can also receive messages that don't even make sense, that aren't for you. But because you're still new, you're going to take them on board and try to make them for you. It's very confusing. Think about when you're in your car and you're driving and the radio cuts out and a new station comes in that you don't even know where it's coming from. Like, where is this station coming from? And then you listen and you find out it's a town many, many, many miles away. Because all of a sudden, your antenna picked up that frequency. It's not for you. It's not in your town. So we want to turn it off. As the veil thins between the worlds and we have access to it more and more, and at the same time, our abilities, our human ability to bring this psychic and mediumship energy and use it more, intuition more, as those two things happen, we're going to be able to get more and more connection to non-physical. And it's going to be a lot of stuff that is not even about us or for us or for our highest good even. Think about that. Could be some trickster energy. So you don't want to go to the grocery store and all of a sudden know that the person in front of you got into a fight with their boyfriend. You don't want to know that. Believe me, even if you're a person who thinks it's interesting and, novel, new, it'll wear you out. And connecting with that person's energy, well, guess what? You're swimming in their energy. It's not like you're sterile and you're protected. Their energy is now mixed into your energy. Okay. So now you've got fighting with my partner energy on you. You don't even know it. This can even happen without you being aware of it, which is another reason to understand what is happening, to not go through this life in a passive mode, because energy affects you, whether you know about it or not. And if you know about it, then you can say, oh, oops, I don't want to know that. I'm going to turn off my abilities. I'm just going to flip the off switch. And I'm going to push that energy away. Okay? Now, I'm going to talk about specifically how to turn it off, but I do want to say this can happen if you typically don't send out any feelers. You know what I mean? Like, you're to yourself. You keep your energy to yourself. You keep a little shield up. This can happen when your inhibitions are lower. Go out for a couple of drinks with your friends. Oh boy. Oh boy. All of a sudden, you're going to be reading everybody. You're going to, and not only are you going to be able to read everybody, but all the crazy half drunk people at the bar or the restaurant, all their energy is going to be coming to you because you don't have the shield up, because your inhibition is down. This can also happen if you're sick. This can also happen if you're stressed out, because your body's like, we don't have enough energy for that shield thing. We're just barely getting ourselves to the grocery store because we need to get some soup because we're sick. So you want to be more intentional and understand what is happening. You want to say, okay, I'm not really feeling good. I'm feeling tired. I need to go out and be around people, even at work, whatever. So I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to ask my spirit guides. I'm going to ask my guardian angels to throw a little extra shield around me. That's all you have to do. And then believe that it is so. But now what you're doing is you're working with the energy. That's what they said. integrating the human and the non-physical. That's what you just did by asking for help. You've integrated that. Asking for help is important. If you're not a person who asks for help, this is going to be something you're going to want to work on, because they respect your free will. They're not going to help you unless you ask. So get in the habit of not only creating the light, but also asking for help and then believing that it is so. So so in this case, turning it off is also a shield. Everybody's different. Some of you will say, well, here, I've talked about this a lot, and I got this from another medium. I think I actually got it from John Edward, who's a very famous medium, because I think this is what he does. For me, I needed to create a habit. Because I do this professionally, and I cannot, it's not in my best good for me to talk to people and get in people's energy and then walk away out of this office and have their energy in my energy, or to have somebody who's crossed over show up in my living room, even though I'm not going to be talking to their parent or their loved one for 5 more hours. Okay. Boundaries. So how I turn it off and on is I wear this ring. This is a labradorite ring, labradorite. It's nothing fancy, but it's called it's a stone that has been known to help you connect to your psychic abilities. It's not, you don't have to have one to connect to your psychic abilities. Trust me, you don't. I have worked with my spirit guides just by intention. That's it. All I had was the intention. I told my spirit guides, okay, and you can say it out loud if you're in private, or you can say it in your head. We've talked about this a lot. Saying things out loud has a little bit more energy to it, because your voice can have energy, right? You're projecting it out there. It's a real thing. It's energy. It goes out into the universe. Our thoughts have energy too. You can do it in your head, but humans don't believe their thoughts have energy. They don't believe their thoughts are important. So if you don't believe it, it doesn't work as well. So, but you can say it in your head as well. I told my spirit guide, I said, spirit guide team, here's how I would like for this to work. When I put this ring on, I am working. My abilities are on. When I take this ring off and I put it on my desk, I am closed. Okay. And I do. This is something I do religiously. One time I made a mistake and wore this on a trip. Holy moly. Okay. So that's something you can do. You can wear a necklace. You can wear earrings. You can have more than one piece of jewelry. You can say, if I wear this necklace or this ring, because maybe you like to have different looks. Maybe you don't want to always wear the same ring. You can do that. They're pretty, they can understand what you tell them. So if you say one of these 3 jewelry items, when I wear it, I'm on. When I take it off, I'm off. That's the beginning. Now, just like anything new that you start, you have to, like a new muscle, you've got to work it out for it to get stronger. So you have to train them. You have to be willing to do your part. Okay. So what does that mean if you're not professional? If you're not doing this professionally, what I would suggest is, if you're a habit person, maybe if you're using a jewelry, maybe you're using mala beads, maybe you're using even the beads that Catholics use. It doesn't matter. It honestly does not even matter. Or maybe you use nothing. That's okay too. Okay. But if you're using something, you put it on and you say, may I be surrounded by white light. May I be surrounded by love and light. May this love and light encompass my entire being. May this love and light flow out into my aura, and may it be a blessing upon those whom I interact with today. That's one thing you could say. And you wear your little thing. And then maybe you say, today I need some help. Today I would like some guidance. And maybe you create a session for yourself. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, doesn't matter. You pull some cards for yourself, or you do some automatic writing, or you just meditate. And then when you're done, take your ring off, take your jewelry off, put it on a table, and walk away. Close the session. If you're not wearing something, you simply open the session and close the session. I'm opening the session. When you're done, you say, thank you. I'm deep gratitude. Thank you for your help. I am now closing the session. It's that simple. On, off. And as you can see, there's multiple ways to do this. There is no wrong way, no right way. Figure out what works for you, but be aware that if you get guidance outside of your session, which you still can, because we're human, we're energetic beings, honestly. And as the veil thins between the worlds, we're going to be mixing and matching more with this energy than ever before. That's okay. But if you get guidance outside of your session, what I would suggest you do is make a note. You can write it down in your phone. You can write it down on a piece of paper. Just make a note. Today's date, the time, I got this message. The message can come in a song in your head that's playing that you can't get out of your head. That's a message. It can come as a thought that seemingly came out of nowhere, that maybe doesn't have any bearing in what you're doing. We call them a stroke of inspiration. We call it an aha moment. That's fine. Write it down. When you go into your session, reconnect to that energy. I got this message. I don't quite understand what it is. You open your session and then you ask the question about this. Can you give me more clarity? I'm open for more clarity. Now, you can ask for signs and be getting them all the time. And that's okay too. Okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But signs are not the same energy as there's a dead person in my living room who wants to talk to me. That's a boundary. That's when you say, I'm not working right now. Or when all of a sudden you have a knowing about a friend who's going to go through something. Okay. Why do I information? Oof, the energy is so crazy. Things are happening. Okay, it doesn't matter. So what I tell my spirit guide team, because again, you're in the driver's seat. Humans have got to be in the driver's seat. We've got to be. This is our evolution. This is what's being asked of us. We are the ones who are stepping into the power of integrating this non-physical into physical. Okay. So what I ask my spirit guides is, if I cannot fix it, if I cannot help it, I don't want to know about it. Don't tell me about it. Okay. And I mean that. And I mean that even for me. Like, I want to be just as surprised as everybody else. Do not tell me things or allow me to know things that I cannot help. It's an incredible burden to know something about somebody that you love or care about and yet not be able to help them with it. It's a burden. You don't want that burden. Trust me when I say you don't want the burden. If I can help, by all means, tell me about it. And I've had it go both ways. I've had it where I learned something that I knew I could help that person with. I relayed the information and it helped the person. I've had it where I've known something was going to happen to a person that I couldn't help. And I just had to sit with the information. It's a burden. You don't want it. So it's also about a maturity of understanding. Just because you can know, just because you can look into somebody else's life, or even just receive unbidden information, you shouldn't, because you can't do anything about it. So you set the rules with your spirit guides. Send me helpful signs all the time. Send me guidance all the time. Even when I'm not working, send me guidance. If it's for my highest good, I'm ready to receive it. Okay? But make sure it's for me. Okay? I want you to filter anything out that's not for me. You set the ground rules. You set the boundaries. Now, if something happens, you say to me, well, Susan, I set the ground rules, and you're going to shore them up again and again. You're going to remind spirit and yourself. It's like re-signing a contract. So every once in a while, you want to re-sign that contract. Remember, spirit, to know anything that I can't fix or help. Okay. You want to restate your intention. But let's say, even though you have this intention and you've restated it and you've built it up and you've got a strong foundation with spirit, things are really working the way you want them to work. And then something happens, like you do hear your name called and there's nobody there. And you're like, okay, what gives, right? You go into a session with spirit and you're like, why did I hear my name called? You might not get an answer. Like, what do you do when you don't get an answer? Well, typically when you don't get an answer, it's because you're overthinking, your brain is involved, and the answer doesn't match what your brain thinks it should be. So you get nothing. Your brain is always going to be the loudest voice in your head, always. Even in my head with my spirit guides, my brain, when it comes to me, my brain is the highest, the loudest voice. So if something like that happens, the way they'll help answer that question will be in your sleep or when you're distracted. When your brain is distracted, that's when spirit guides can answer your questions. So when you're doing something mindless, washing the car, watering the flowers, doing a creative project, creating art, listening to music, driving is one, exercising is one. Anytime you're doing something mindless, that's when spirit can pop and you go, aha, now I get it. I get it, right? When we say that, and we do it all the time, I get it. And people are like, you get what? What do you get? And you're like, I get it. I get why this happened. Well, how did you figure that out? I don't know. It just came to me. That's claircognizance. That's psychic knowing. That's your spirit guides dropping a thought into your mind when it was accepting that type of energy. When your brain is thinking, you're not accepting energy from your spirit guides. You're not accepting mail. Your voicemail is full. They cannot get through. So even if you're thinking, taking classes, reading books, listening to podcasts, listening to videos, that's busy. That's a busy sign. Create spaces that are open. That's why they said, create a space. 5 minutes where you just sit down, fill yourself with light, with love. 5 minutes, you guys, a day is all you need. Take some deep breaths and love. Focus on you. Forget sending it to the world. Forget that. Because if your little carcass, your human carcass is empty and all dried up, and you start sending stuff to the world, it ain't even going to get out your room. It's not going to have the energy to get out of your room. There's no energy to give. But when we focus on us and we expand our energy with love and light, and we have a beautiful energy around us of love and acceptance gentleness and all this beautiful self-compassion, when that is nice and full and healthy and beautiful, and then we send love and light to the world, well, then you're sending a big, huge ball of energy to the world of beautiful love and light. See the difference? So don't be sending energy to people out your dried up carcass. Get it plumped up, fix yourself, you know, fix yourself. Love on yourself. Also, again, when you have this beautiful love and light, and how do you do it? What do we just say? Take some deep breaths. I love you. I love you, Susan. You are worthy. You're doing so good. Everything is okay. In this moment, right now, everything is okay. You're going to be okay. You are surrounded by love and light. The more you do it, the more it becomes true. That's how you do it. It's really that simple. You can be sick, you can be depressed, you can be tired. It don't matter. It doesn't matter, because in this moment, right now, this little moment, I'm good. In this little moment, I'm surrounded by love and light. May it be so. May it be so. So then when you connect with your spirit guides, when you connect to your archangels, whoever you want to connect to, aliens, dragons, fairies, Sasquatch, I don't care. You're going to connect to the highest version of those beings. Isn't that beautiful? And in doing so, you're actually blessing them, and they're blessing you. And then we have that human, non-physical integration that Spirit wants us to have, that indeed humans are evolving to be more connected to express more of. Okay? So just to recap, you turn it on, intention. You close it down, intention. Humans have to start realizing that their thoughts are extremely powerful. Our mind is incredibly powerful. Therefore, we don't really want to be critical of ourselves. We don't want to be mad at ourselves. We don't want to be down on ourselves. We don't want that. It's incredibly powerful. It's powerful enough to open up a portal into the non-physical. And it's powerful enough to close the portal to non-physical. Once you believe it, once you know that it is true, nothing can get to you. Nothing can mess with you, because you understand the power that you have. And from there, you understand you have the power to heal yourself. From there, you understand you have the power to manifest and create the life you always wanted. It's a very powerful thing. But we have to take baby steps to get there, because power, that scares us, right? And you can't have too much power, right? Like some of us are afraid of power. You can't have too much power. You're not going to take over the world with your power, because there are checks and balances, right? That's kind of why they don't let us, all of us, know the numbers to the lottery, right? We don't have all the power. I don't have all the answers. I'm not 100% correct. That's for a reason. It's checks and balances. But why not go from human to 80% intuition? Why not use 80% more energy to make our lives beautiful and compassionate and loving and serene and peaceful and happy? Why not? It's there for you. It's our birthright. It's each human's birthright. And as we evolve, this is where we're going. So as you have all these experiences, understand that with boundaries, with intention, you can make this the most beautiful experience and helpful experience and loving experience. Okay? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're new here and you've watched to the end, I think you just got to subscribe. If you haven't, take really, really good care of yourselves. And we'll talk again next Wednesday.